Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the perfectly enlightened one. Today I am going to introduce Vipassana insight meditation from the place where I stopped. Today I'm going to start from the knowledge is called the Sankarupeka Jnana, the knowledge of equanimity about formations. So before that, I will try to remind you as the simple practice. Those who prefer to concentrate on the breath may notice in and out breath. When you breathe in, breathe out, say one in mentally. Breathe in, breathe out, say two. Breathe in, breathe out, say three. And start from one again. If you prefer to notice the rising and falling of the abdomen, you may concentrate somewhere here on the stomach. When the abdomen rises, say rising. When it falls, say falling. Rising, falling. Rising, falling. While noticing rising and falling, if you happen to experience pain, don't stretch your legs. Notice that pain. And keep repeating pain in, pain in, pain in, pain in until the pain goes off completely and come back to the rising and falling of the abdomen. If you hear a sudden distraction, somebody opens a door, some sound, notice it and say hearing, hearing, hearing 3 times and come back to the rising and falling of the abdomen. If you remember something, say remember, remember. If you are thinking, say thinking, 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 come back to the rising and falling of the abdomen. If anger arises, say in mentally anger, 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 and come back to the rising and falling of the abdomen. Whatever that comes to the mind, just notice twice or thrice and come back to the rising and falling of the abdomen or the breathing meditation, in and out breath. You can select either one, the rising and falling of the abdomen or the in and out breath of the breathing. So you can concentrate and take it as a main object. Always notice other objects and come back to the main object. You can do sitting meditation, standing meditation. You can stand still with open eyes, be aware of the contact of the feet, and all the other things are same. Notice arising and passing thoughts, sensations, feelings, and so on. You can do walking meditation, be aware somewhere around the feet, with open eyes, simply walk left, right, and you can increase up to lifting, keeping, lifting, moving, keeping. And you can also do sitting meditation, standing meditation, walking meditation, and there's another one called lying down. You can lie down. Better keep your hand like this so you won't fall asleep. And just be aware of the contact of the body and then the rising and falling of the abdomen or the breathing and the arising and passing thoughts and whatever sensations. There is something called mindfulness of clear comprehension, in Pali language called Sati Sampajanya. That is, when you are stretching your hand, be aware that you are stretching. When you are bringing back, be aware. For example, if you have to drink a glass of water, when you move your hand to touch the glass, notice every moment, each and every moment. Take the glass, bring it. When you are drinking, notice the hot and cold sensation, sweet and sour taste. While you are eating, when you are eating, notice the sweet and sour taste. When you are bathing, be aware hot and cold sensations. When you lie down, be aware the contact of the body. So, the bodily movements, noticing the bodily movements, is called the sati sampajanya, or mindfulness of clear comprehension. Now I'm going to start the place from the place where I have stopped. The Sankhya Rupeksha Jnana is the knowledge of equanimity about formations. When the meditator reaches the state of knowledge of equanimity, his mind stays calm and he could notice all the mental phenomena without any effort. So, when you reach the level of equanimity about formations, your mind stays very stable and calm. Those who visualize, those who experience mental visions with closed eyes, and those who visualize something, they might visualize some people in a straight line, wearing white dress, taking lotus flowers, or going to the temple, and rows in a very straight line. If they happen to see Buddha statues, they will see hundreds of statues in a line. They will also see clouds and everything in perfect and straight. Temples, pagodas, so many religious things. Those who have been, especially Sri Lankans, they visualize these. Lot of our temple Buddhist religious items. Some others may experience something else, according to their what they have seen and experienced in this life or maybe in the past life. Now, Sankarupeka is a very nice, calm and peaceful state. The meditator can stay without any pain or without any stress for a longer period. His mind has reached the state of equanimity. When his mind has reached the state of equanimity, he could sit longer without any pain. I have explained it. He could practice his meditation even the whole day without any disturbance. He could even, some meditators could even sit hours and hours without any pain. The meditators feel very comfortable, very peaceful, very calm, and everything is very smooth. There will be mental visions of pagodas, men, women, standing in a straight line, in straight lines. Also, the meditator will visualize holy places, Buddha statues, standing in rows. Clouds, clear sky, whatever he visualizes, he sees those objects standing in straight rows. So the meditator here visualizes religious places, the people all in very smooth and standing in line. The nature of the equanimity about formations is explained as follows. Number one, the meditator could concentrate on the meditative object without much effort. So the meditator can practice without effort. Very easily he can practice. Number two, no painful feelings. The meditator feels very peaceful and calm. Number three, he could sit at a stretch and meditate for hours without changing positions. So the meditator could sit hours and hours, no pain arises, and then can sit very long, very comfortably. No wandering thoughts, even if we try to focus on outside objects, his mind automatically comes back to his present object. No wandering thoughts. Even the meditator try to think of something else or any other object, the mind will automatically come back to the calmness, the state of calmness. Number 5, the mind and the mental objects gradually become so subtle, and some meditators find unable to explain their situation clearly. So the mind, it becomes so calm and smooth and very subtle, and some meditators are incapable of explaining their experience to the teacher. The mind and the meditation object gradually become subtle and disappear completely, and there will be a light and feels a cool and a kind of a so comfortable feeling. So the mind become very subtle, and there is a kind of a light around him, and some meditator experience feels nice and cool. He'll feel only the mind or the awareness remain. At this time, he goes to his teacher and say, I have nothing to meditate. Then his teacher will ask, how do you know that you have nothing to notice? That means you know that your mind is there. So when the mind becomes very smooth and calm and very peaceful, and the meditator thinks, I have nothing to meditate, no objects are coming, no wandering thoughts are appearing, no sensation, no feelings, I am very calm and peaceful, I have nothing to meditate. So he goes to his teacher and say, I have nothing to meditate, I am just sitting there. Then the teacher will ask, do you know that you are there? Yes, I know that I am there. Keep repeating, knowing, 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 knowing. That means you know that you are there. So if you think that there's nothing to notice, just keep saying it mentally, knowing, knowing, knowing. That means you know that you are there. I have already explained it. Some meditators experience a thrilling feeling and feel so joyful, and they continue their practice very happily. Some meditators experience a kind of a thrilling feeling, kind of a joyful state. Some meditators feel so happy and think that they have achieved the final goal and stop their practice, but again they continue. Some meditators think, oh, this is the final goal. This must be the end of the meditation practice. So then they feel like stopping the practice, but they will not stop, but they will still continue. They find there is nothing to notice, but at this moment, the meditator has to be aware the calmness itself. At this stage, meditators should not get deceived by these joyful feelings. He must understand that this joyful state is not a realization of Nibbana. So, he must understand, if he is practicing alone, if there is no teacher to guide him, he must understand even this joyful state is not the realization of Nibbana. He should think that this enjoyment leads to suffering of the life continuation. He should think wisely that state of enjoyment is a mental coefficient. So the meditator should think even the enjoyment, even the joyful state leads to suffering, because one can't hold the joyful state, it disappears, and then sadness will arise. So always there will be suffering. So he should think this is, he should not get deceived by this state. He has to be aware whatever that. If he feels joyful, he has to be aware, I am joyful, that's all. Do nothing, just be aware of the same state. He should think wisely that this state of joy, enjoyment is a mental coefficient. He should understand this is a state of mental, is the mental state is like that. So he should be aware of all these things, not get deceived by this. He should not stop his practice, he should continue his practice. The meditator should let go all these joyful feelings and continue his practice till he realizes Nibbana. Meditator feels that his meditative object gradually fading away and feels like it completely disappeared. But after a while, he notices the mental objects slightly and continues his practice. So here the meditator feels that everything has become very calm and smooth, and everything gradually fading away, disappearing. But then if he stays calm and be aware of the same condition, gradually, slowly, thoughts will come to rise and pass. He will experience the rising and passing of the thoughts. At this stage, meditator will feel that he could contemplate meditative objects properly. So when he has a joyful feeling, his practice becomes weaker. So time to time his practice goes ups and down. When he feels joyful, his progress becomes slow down. So time to time his practice, the progress of insight rises high and then go down again. Practice is improving and then going down. If you get attached to a joyful feeling, then it comes down. If you try to be aware of the joyful state, then it will gradually, knowledge will increase gradually. He also feels a thrilling sensation. He also visualizes slight light that appears every second. At this stage, he will visualize light like a silver color lights going, like stars like. The meditator will comprehend one of the three characteristics at this moment. Anicca, impermanent, dukkha, suffering, and anatta, no self. There will be no fearful, disgust feelings, and there will be no attachment or aversion towards any object. So he will understand that anicca, impermanent nature, and the suffering side, and the that is called dukkha, and no self. He will get thoughts like everything is impermanent, everything keeps changing, and it brings us suffering, is something to be sad, and there is no soul, I or ego who does these things. It is the nature of the mental condition, it happens like that. His mind will be in a state of equanimity, his practice will be very smooth, and noticing of the objects will happen automatically. So his mind will become very calm, and whatever objects, whatever thoughts or whatever slight thoughts that arise and pass, automatically the mind notices and let go. It happens automatically. The practice becomes automatic. Now we come to the last of the practice, is about to realize nirvana now. Insight leading to emergence is called the Uttana Gamini Vipassana. Through knowledge of the equanimity of formations, which is endowed with many virtues, blessings, and powers, he notices the formations as they occur. When this knowledge is matured, having become keen, strong, and lucid, on reaching its culmination point, so the mind becomes very smooth and calms, and it becomes so lucid, and it is almost ready to reach the culmination, the last point. His mind is very calm. He will understand any of the formations as being impermanent or painful or without self just by seeing their dissolution. So he will understand these formations, even they are impermanent. They keep changing sometimes, and they are impermanent. Then it's not a permanent state. And it brings suffering, and it is not done by anything, anybody or anyone. That is what we call no soul, and it happens automatically. By seeing this dissolution, by experiencing the disappearing, everything is dissolving and disappearing. Now that act of noticing any one of the characteristics out of the three, which is still more lucid in its perfect understanding, manifests itself 2 or 3 times or more in a rapid succession. This is called insight leading to emergence. So, when the meditator understands the impermanent nature, the suffering of it, and no self of it, these three are called 3 characteristics: anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, suffering, and no self. One of the three he will understand one of the 3 most clearly, either anicca or impermanent, suffering side, or anatta or no self. So one of the 3 out of 3 characters he will experience very highly. It is called the insight leading to emergence. The one of the 3 of the characteristics he will understand in continuous, in a series, a succession, rapidly, about 2 or 3 times or more. Then comes anuloma jnana, knowledge of adaptation, gotrabu jnana, maturity knowledge, magga jnana, path knowledge, pala jnana, fruition knowledge. The above said all the 4 knowledges arise in a single thought process. So all these knowledges, the above said knowledge means there is anuloma jnana, knowledge of adaptation, gotrabu jnana, maturity knowledge, magga jnana, path knowledge, pala jnana, fruition knowledge. All these knowledges arise in a single thought process. The above said all the 4 knowledges arise in a single thought process. Thought process is there are, if you study Buddhist psychology, the thought process I explained in like 17 thought movements and shorter thought movements. When there is an I and the visual object, there is eye consciousness. The meeting of these 3, there is contact, passapaccaya, vedana, feelings, like that. The thought process is explained in the Abhidhamma. So when you visualize something, that you recognize it, and the mind recognize and identify the nature of the visual object. So all this happens in a single thought process. It's called the thought process. Many thoughts arise and pass away in one thought process. So one line is a one thought process. So these, what I have explained, the Anuloma Jnana, the knowledge of adaptation, Gotara Jnana, maturity knowledge, Magga Jnana, path knowledge, Pala Jnana, fruition knowledge, arise in a single thought process. The above said all the four knowledges arise in a single thought process, so it is difficult to know the nature of these knowledges clearly. One could know these knowledges by reviving after they occur. So it happens so in a very lightning speed that the meditator could not know very clearly. At this moment, meditator feels suddenly the thought process, suddenly the mind, the arising and passing, all the thought process has broken down and separated. For example, if somebody is walking mindfully at this time of the realization, he will see when he try to keep the foot on the floor, on the ground split open and joined together And someone who's sitting and closing eyes and when meditates, someone sees everything has ceased at once. So somebody feels as if somebody has drowned in the water, and he feels like that he jumps out of the water. Someone can feel like a heavy burden someone has dropped from the heart, and somebody feels as if the untying, if a person is tied to a tree or something, the meditator at this point feels like that he breaks all the ropes and jump out. So there are each and every meditators experience very different ways at the time of their realization. Pachavikena Jnana is called knowledge of reviving. After the realization, after realizing the nirvana, the path, at once the meditator go into kind of unawareness. Maybe for few seconds, maybe longer. He will not know where he is, as if dead and born. The palachita or the fruition knowledge cannot be known. It's so subtle, the meditator doesn't feel anything. And when he comes back to senses again, then he will remember all these things, all this what is happening. He has been meditating, suddenly everything detached, everything ceased, and he was in unawareness, but he didn't know where he was. Those ideas will come. Those ideas, when we call those thoughts are Pachavikena Jnana, knowledge of reviving thoughts. The knowledge of reviving thoughts will happen. Palasamapatti, attainments of fruition, the higher path and fruition. Anuloma Jnana, knowledge of adaptation. Gotara Jnana, maturity knowledge. Magga Jnana, path knowledge. Pala Jnana, fruition knowledge. So I'm going to explain all these things. So if you Uttanagamini Vipassana Jnana and the meditator experience insight leading to emergence. While each and every he notices precisely and disappearance of the objects and that notice. He also understands the nature of impermanent. The meditative objects rise and pass so rapidly, it perishes so rapidly. Some meditators notice as a rapid lightning. So at this time, just before the realization meditative experience, every thought arising and passing so rapidly, everything is happening very fast. And he also understands either impermanent very much or suffering or the no self. One out of the three characteristics quite obviously. Sometimes the whole body seems to be appearing and disappearing. So sometimes we feel the body is there, sometimes has disappeared. Body is appearing and disappearing. Sometimes he feels the body has become so stiff and unable to open their mouth and undergo severe painful feeling. Sometimes they visualize mass of fire and undergo much suffering. Sometimes one's practice doesn't go according to one's wishes, but depends on the natural law. Sometimes one notices only the body and mind, but not any outside objects. Sometimes when one notices only the mind, but nothing else. Sometimes one notices that one does not belong to any natural law. So sometimes the meditator is able to notice, sometimes the thoughts rising and passing rapidly. Sometimes he understands one out of the three characteristics very, very clearly. And sometimes meditators notice the objects clearly and their understanding too become much better. But they say there is no special understanding. This happens when one understands the nature of impermanence. Some meditators experience the nature of suffering. Some notice that they have no control over this natural law. Sometimes one notices the impermanent nature twice or thrice. The meditator at once loses the mind and the mental objects for a split second. So while noticing, sometimes he feels everything arising, everything passing away. Sometimes he'll be able to notice at once everything ceases. The meditator at once loses the mind and the mental objects for a split second. They say that everything has become kind of a cessation. They say all the objects have come to a stop. They say all the objects have perished. The meditator says that he has forgotten everything and fallen into a sleep, but he didn't really fall into a sleep, neither forgotten. One says that one's life has come to a cessation and feels as if drowned in the water. One says that one's objects have completely disappeared. Some says due to some special incident, one's doubt have disappeared. Some says that one's disappearing of mind and mental objects. In that way, one has realized nirvana. At the time of realization, one experienced everything disappeared. For a split second, everything ceased. and the meditator will not know what happened, but later he will see that as if a very heavy things that he has lost. Like at the time of realization, one feels like one releases suddenly from the everything disappears, and when he come to know, he feels a heavy thing has drop off from his mind, and he feels kind of he has a great faith towards the Buddha and his teaching, and now he's free of believing the real, or believing by respecting to a tree or stone or anything. He will never ever depend on respecting to a tree or stone or anything that helps, thinking that these things will help to realize nirvana, help to purify the mind. But he will know only one and only path. This is the only path to purify his mind. So he will have a great faith towards the Buddha. His teaching is called Dhamma, and the great faith towards the disciples of the Buddha. He also feels sorry for his relatives and friends who have dead and gone. He feels that they have really missed this opportunity. The meditator says that he has forgotten everything and fell into a sleep, but he didn't really fall into a sleep, neither forgotten. Some say that one's life has come to a cessation and feels as if they have drowned in the water. Some says that one's object have completely disappeared. Some says due to some special incident, one's doubt have disappeared. Some say that one's disappearance of mind and mental objects, in that one has realized the nirvana. Some say that they have realized the truth. We call Nibbana, is a Pali word. Each and every meditator explains the way they realize nirvana or Nibbana. The cessation of the mind and the mental objects means that one has realized the truth. According to the above explanation, when one realizes one of the three characteristics such as anicca, impermanent, dukkha, suffering, and anatta, no self, for several times, is called the Uttanagamini Anuloma Jnana, insight leading to emergence. So, according to the above explanation, when one realizes one of the three characteristics, either anicca, impermanent, suffering, or no self, out of these three, for several times, it is called the Uttanagamini Anuloma Jnana, insight leading to emergence. That means is almost about to realize the truth. With that knowledge, there arises Anuloma Jnana, the knowledge of adaptation. Gotra Jnana, maturity knowledge, will be understood after the mental and material phenomena have been ceased. And at the first experience of calmness of the mind. So, Gotrabhu Jnana, maturity knowledge, will be understood. The mental and material phenomena have been ceased, and at the first experience of calmness of the mind. Once the meditator going to a cessation, and when he come to know, after a few seconds or something, or few minutes, when he come to know himself that he is there, and at that time the knowledge arises is called the unraveling thoughts or pachavekkana jnana. With that thoughts, one understand I have been meditating, at once everything disappeared, and I didn't fall asleep. It's not a sleep, but something changed. My mind has changed, and I have realized nirvana, nibbana, and all these things will be understood when he come to awareness again. This understanding is called maturity knowledge, magga jnana, path knowledge. The understanding the split second when the mental and material phenomena have been ceased is called the path knowledge. At once everything comes to the cessation, at that time it is called the path knowledge. Palajnana, fruition knowledge means knowing the end part of the cessation of all phenomena is called the fruition knowledge. When everything going to a cessation, when he slowly come to know, then he will come to know that he was in the cessation. And that cessation is called the fruition of Nibbana. When one reaches the state of Gotrabhu maturity knowledge, and the understanding of the split second after cessation of all phenomena is what is called Nibbana. When the meditator has been noticing the three characteristics that arise and pass, and at once he realizes one out of the three characteristics rapidly and go into a cessation. That cessation means called the split second after cessation of all phenomena is what is called Nibbana. When inquired the meditator of his attainment, he says he could not know where he was. When the teacher asked what happened, he said he could not know where he was. There was a person called David. He from another country. He was wearing spectacles. When he realized the truth, he came running. He explained something. He said, I am David with the new spectacles. So each and everyone tried to explain his realization in how they feel, according to the way they feel. Then some meditators at their realization, they come and ask. I was at the International Meditation Center, Kandubodi Vipassana Meditation Center, giving instruction under my teacher, giving instructions to meditators. Some meditators say, after their realization, they come and ask, oh, we want to meet the Buddha. And we say, we are very sorry, Buddha had passed away. When? Oh, more than 2,500 years before. So are there any books to read? We said, yes, we have a library. Can we read? Of course. And then after that, they come and ask the teacher, can I ordain as a monk? Of course, why not? So some ordain. Sometimes they ordain and stay for a long period, sometimes whole life, in the forest, in different areas, in caves in Sri Lanka. Some meditators, after realizing, after becoming a monk, they translate our teaching of the Buddha into different languages, into German languages, into other languages, English languages, many other languages. They translate our scriptures and take it to other countries. And they want to teach others the truth. Now I stop at this point, and next time I will explain so many things about the cessation of consciousness or the realization of the Nibbana. So thank you very much for listening. I hope that you have a great effort, that you may have a great effort, or if you do not, try to encourage yourself and try to practice this and get the benefit of this teaching. This teaching can be practiced by anybody. There are no religious boundaries. You are not following me, but you are noticing your own breathing, you are noticing your own feelings, own sounds, thoughts and things, and you purify your own mind and reach nirvana. So it is very open. You do not depend on me because I said something, but practice this by yourself and try to realize the truth. May all beings be well, happy and peaceful. May they be free from all illnesses. Thank you very much.